Our City of Essex Junction annual meeting. 6 o'clock, so we'll get started. I'm the moderator for this meeting today. And first, I'd like to do get the introductions going. And so I'm going to introduce the City Council President, Raj Chawla, and he'll introduce other members of the council and staff. Go ahead, Raj.
Hi there, I'm Raj Chawla, City Council President for the City of Essex Junction. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'd like to introduce the City Council. Council, maybe you can wave in your Zoom window. Vice President Amber Tebow, Marcus Serta, our clerk, Andrew Brown, and Elaine Haney. And we have, I think, don't have everybody in view here, but city department heads are here with us too this evening. Regina Mahoney is our city manager. Colleen Dwyer is our HR director. Chris Caborio is our fire chief. Police Chief Ron Hogue, the Essex Police Department. Wendy Hisco, our director of libraries. Rick Jones, Public Works. Karen Lemna, our assessor from the town of Essex. Brad Luck, Director of EGRP. Chelsea Mendigo, Wastewater Department. She's our Water Quality Superintendent. Susan McNamara Hill, our Clerk and Treasurer. Jess Morris, Director of Finance. Ashley Snellenberger, Communications and Strategic Initiatives Director. And Chris Yuen, our Community Development Director. I don't see any of our representatives on the call right now, so I will call them out if they show up tonight. So thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you, Raj. So this meeting is an informational meeting, and as such, we are not going to have motions or voting. All the voting will take place by Australian ballot, which we'll talk about later in the meeting. So today is the opportunity to go over each of the articles that we'll be voting on next Tuesday on the 9th, or early if you're voting your ballot ahead of time, and give the City Council a chance to give a quick overview of each article and then for people to ask questions. So all the questions, you'll want to raise your hand with the button at the bottom of the Zoom, and we'll just take people in order. And so all the questions will go through me, and I'll direct them over to the City Council President and to whoever might be needed to answer your question at that point in time. And then we're all going to be, we might all have different opinions and such, and we're all going to be respectful of each other as we ask questions. That's always important, that we're all a community working together. And one thing I wanted to read, just based on some past events. So City Council previously had a meeting disrupted by anti-Semitic and racist hate speech. The City Council does not tolerate such actions and strongly condemns them. While it may not always be possible to prevent hate speech from occurring during public comments, Council will continue to take measures to make it more difficult to express such views. So again, trying to be all respectful and friendly here. So, all right. With that, let's get into the part of the meeting. So the first article is Article 1, and it is read this way. Shall the voters approve an annual general fund budget in the amount of $12,004,124 for fiscal year July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025, $11,110,346 of which is to be levied in taxes against the city grand list. So that is the article, and Raj, I think, got a presentation on the screen here for you to take people through.
Great, thanks, Steve. So this is the second budget for the city. We're currently in our first full city budget, about 9 months in. The primary expense increases in this budget include salary and health insurance rate increases, the addition of a new Act 76 childcare tax, the transition from part-time to full-time of a finance billing coordinator, and increases in our general liability, property and casualty insurance, an increase to our IT contract, and costs associated with setting up a stormwater utility. This budget is a 5% increase from FY24, the current year, and the impact on a home assessed at $280,000 is $170. $170 increase over your property tax bill from last year. This moves the general fund tax rate 6.6%, which is a 6.60, excuse me, a little over a 6-cent increase. And again, repeating that the impact on an average assessed home of $280,000 is $170. This, go ahead. All right. Property tax revenue makes up 91% of, I'm sorry, property taxes make up 91% of the revenues for the city budget. Global Foundries property is 6% of that number. City businesses represent 11% of property tax revenues, and miscellaneous revenues from community development fees and the clerk's office make up the remaining 9%. This is a rather busy pie chart. It's intended to point out the big players in the budget this year. First and foremost among them, Health and Human Services, which are Essex Rescue and our contract with Essex Police. This is a little over $3 million and 25% of our budget. The next largest expenditure by department is our streets department at 13%, our recreation department at 9%, and the Brownell Library at 8%.
Okay, I am going to stop sharing the slides there, Steve, because we next go on to the
Perfect.
if I can get my mouse to the right spot.
Well, you can leave them shared for now in case there's a specific question on one of the pages.
Okay.
So does anyone in the audience, would anyone like to ask questions on Article 1 and the budget? And you can hit the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions. So let's go on to Article 2. Shall the voters of the city of Essex Junction set the property tax exemption for disabled veterans at $40,000 as allowed in state statute, said exemption to remain in effect for future taxable years until amended or repealed by the voters? All right. Is there anything you'd like to say on this, Raj?
Sure. This is something that was in place when we were part of the town. We had, as a community, voted to have this level at $40,000, and now that we're a city, we need to take this step to raise it from the base potential $10,000. And I'll say that this is a reduction in the assessed value, not in the tax bill. So this discount available to qualified disabled veterans would come off of their assessed value of their home. $40,000 property tax exemption. I'm sorry, got that part all clear. Veterans do need to apply for this program, and this is something the community has been participating in for quite some time. So this is largely a housekeeping measure to continue what we've been used to doing in the past years.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions on Article 2 and this exemption? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. So I'm going to move on to Article 3. Shall the voters approve extending the 1 cent capital improvement tax, also known as the economic development tax, as established in 2016 to be reconsidered at annual meeting in 2027? Right? Go ahead, Raj.
Sure. As you mentioned, this was first started in 2016. This extension will take us for 3 years to FY26. This fund has been used for all kinds of things in the community, public parking improvements, signage, bike racks. We are currently planning on using the balance and future funds for our match to a rather large federal grant to renovate the Amtrak station in town, as well as amenities such as, I think, benches, bike racks, charging stations for the soon-to-be completed Crescent Connector project. The impact of this on a home valued at $280,000 is $28 a year if this is approved.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone have questions on Article 3 and the 1 cent capital improvement tax? All right, lots of questions tonight. So we're going to move on to Article 4. Shall the voters approve holding the 2025 annual meeting on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, at which time the voters shall vote by Australian ballot for the election of officers, the voting on the city budget, and any other business included in the warning for the meeting? Go ahead, Raj.
So we've done this every year. This time of year, we vote on the date to hold our meeting the following year. Last April, we all approved 4 charter changes that have since been signed by the governor. They were signed by the governor after we needed to warn this election. So we are back in the position of participating in the selection now by voting on the date for next year. In subsequent years, the city council will decide, based on input in the calendar, when to set voting for the subsequent voting day, which could be April, it could be town meeting day in March. But this year, this is where we are right now, having to set the date by ballot.
Okay. Thank you for that description. Does anyone have question on Article 4 and when we're holding the annual meeting in 2020? Okay. So let's move on to Article 5, which is to elect city officers required by law, including moderator, 2 city council members, and 2 library trustees. So as a reminder for Article 5, the voting is by Australian ballot, which we've mailed. I believe we've mailed one out to everyone ahead of time, which people can turn in to the clerk's office, to the polling location, or to mail, or just vote in person. All those options exist. The voting in person will be Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Champlain Valley Exposition in the Blue Ribbon Pavilion, 105 Pearl Street. And if you have any questions on that, you can certainly contact the city clerk. And then those running for officers for those slots. So for moderator, it's a 1-year term. And I'm the only person on the ballot, and you can write in. For city council, there's 2 positions for a 3-year term, and there's 4 people plus write-in. But we have Jitan Kodka, Timothy Miller, Jason Struthers, and Amber Tebow on the ballot for that. For library trustee 3-year term, we have Karen Hergen-Schmeier, and also the ability to write in. And then for library trustee 5-year term, we have no name on the ballot, but you can write in someone for that position. So that is the details about Article 5. Does anybody have any questions about logistics on Article 5? Okay, We're doing real well tonight. So,
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
okay, so the next thing up is public to be heard. And I know we had a couple things the city council wanted to share first, and then people can talk about anything on their mind regarding business in the city of Essex Junction. So Raj, did you want to go first on that and introduce?
Well, I just want to remind folks, I think you already you already kind of gave the information for annual meeting and voting next Tuesday. Folks should have received a ballot in the mail. It's getting to the point where it might be a little tricky to put your ballot back in the mail at this point, and better to bring it to Lincoln and either bring it in the building or leave it in our drop box near the entrance door. You can also bring it to the CVE on Tuesday, April 9th, between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Ashley Stellenberger can give us an update on the strategic planning process we've had underway.
Sure. We are in the final stages of our strategic plan, and we are asking residents to give us some feedback. We have our second stakeholder survey, which is currently live right now, and it will be available till April the 12th. So please go out and take that survey. You can go to our website and find the link to the survey, and we hope to get your responses from that. And then we will share the final report to the City Council towards the end of May. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
And one more thing, I don't believe Councillor Brown is with us this evening. I think he had a conflict, but I just wanted to recognize his service to the community. I've prepared something I can read, so forgive me because I'll probably forget something if I don't read it. Andrew Brown was first elected to the village trustees in April 2012. He began his term as chair of the newly formed Capital Review Committee, and he served on that board for 6 years. Looking back to 2012's annual meeting, that meeting featured a presentation and discussion regarding the newly proposed Crescent Connector project. That project will be completed this fall. It featured exploration of merged services, the beginnings of the conversations around consolidating services with the town, and it as well as the beginning of the heart and soul effort with a presentation by Sue McCormick. There were also discussions of the beginnings of the renovation for the Amtrak station, some of which have been completed. Most of those renovations will be coming in the next year or two, we hope. Progress is slow. Andrew has served as a trustee and counselor for 12 years, was elected trustee president in 2019, and was the city's first council president. He led the board through COVID, our successful push for independence, and the hiring of our city's first municipal manager, Regina Mahoney. I deeply appreciate Andrew's patience and mentorship. We had some serious issues to contend with and separation to manage. There were disagreements, and I appreciate that regardless of the result of those disagreements, respect and friendship remained. We will miss his deep knowledge of municipal budgeting, his insight, institutional knowledge of the community, and most of all, his sense of humor. We look forward to honoring him later this month at a future city council meeting. That's it, Steve.
All right, thank you, Raj. And certainly congratulations to Andrew Brown on his time serving the city. All right, is there anyone that would like to bring up any questions about anything dealing with the city of Essex Junction? Andy Suntup, you've got your hand up, so unmute and go ahead.
Hi, back when we voted to have these information meetings, it was before the days of Zoom, and I don't think any of us really expected that we would be watching this meeting on a device, not getting together in person, continuing our building a feeling of community. Is there any way that we can bring a live meeting back again? The town does it, and it just seems so good to have everybody together, the different organizations in the town show up at that meeting like we used to have, and it's a good way to see people, talk to people.
Yeah, thank you for your concern, Andy. Raj, did you want to respond?
Sure. I agree, Andy, and we moved that meeting up for a couple reasons. We had that meeting, I believe it was January 10th. I don't have that date right in front of me. With a brunch and a presentation of the budget in its draft form. And one of the biggest reasons we did it then was it provided an opportunity to present the work we'd done to date on that budget, take input from the community so that we still had time to make changes to it and take that input and put it to use. So because we're voting by Australian ballot now, we knew that when we did this meeting, people would have already voted and the budget would have been set. And the opportunity to have input on a draft budget, while it could still be changed, would have been over. So we opted to do ours early when we had a decent draft document to present to the community. So that's sort of where we're at. We are, I think, very open to modifying this process, but in the age of, I'll say, in the age of mailed ballots and voting by ballot instead of in person at annual meeting, where we can still change the budget. We're still trying to figure out how the community can have a get together and have input in a setting like we're used to offer ideas on changes to the budget or thoughts. So that's sort of how we ended up here.
Are we going to continue those meetings?
I believe we are. And as I say, you know, we're constantly looking at how things are working and is there an improvement to be made there?
Yep.
Yes.
And yeah,
Because I'm
Andy,
looking,
Andy, I'll just add in briefly that that meeting that Raj is referring to was a moderated meeting. So it kind of had the look and feel of the type of meeting we used to have, other than you weren't actually voting on anything.
yeah, I
people
thought that was
were
going to be specifically on, going over the budget and going over strategic planning. I didn't know it was going to be an open type of meeting. And, I'm looking here and I see 23 participants, the bulk of which are city council and staff. It's not bringing the community in, unfortunately.
Well, that's actually precisely why we wanted to do this in January, where we had far more folks show up. I think many have already voted, including myself. So we're hoping to build on the meeting we had this year when we do it again next year. Thought we had a pretty good turnout. We didn't have the kind of turnout that we would have on a Wednesday night at the high school years ago, but we're working on that. And it did include a meal. So I think we're, we're trying to get the participation while accommodating statute, which this meeting does. Like I said earlier, make sure folks have an opportunity to make comments on the budget while it can still be changed, while those comments and while that input can still be put to use.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Andy, for your question. Other questions or comments anyone would like to make? Okay. Well, any last chance?
Steve, we glossed over something on the very first slide of the presentation for today, which was kind of cool, and not a lot of members of the public, but they might enjoy this, but I think staff will also enjoy seeing this or get a little kick out of it. I don't know, Regina, if you can share the first.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. Yeah, we flipped through it. Yeah, let's bring that up.
Since we're through the business, might as well talk about this. So this document from 1978 was found by a resident when they were going through their parents' home.
It's not shared yet.
Yeah.
Are you bringing that up, Regina? I can't remember who shared the first time.
You're muted.
Sorry. Okay, let me try it again. It's
I
being.
I know I'm calling it audible here.
All right. Let me do this. How about now?
Nope.
Nothing.
No?
Nope.
Ugh. Sorry.
Well, at least it's just for this, right? I mean,
It's making me crazy because once I turn to presentation slide, I can't see anything.
Ah. There we
There we
go. It's coming up. There we
All
go.
right.
Perfect.
so this is a document the village sent out to residents on the potential savings they would see from a separation in November of 1978. One of my favorite lines in this, I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of in the middle. According to our computer, I guess computers at that point were pretty dang novel. I think if you scroll down, first of all, the assessment blew my mind at $35,000, but the budget was all of 159,000. This has been going on a long time, the separation.
Want me to go to the next slide?
Yeah, sure.
Did it change?
It did,
Yes.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just thought folks would get a kick out of seeing how long this process has played out. And what the numbers were from 1978.
Yep. Very nice.
And that is all I have.
Yep. Nice little bit of history. All right. Anybody have anything else to share? All right. Looks like we can entertain a motion to adjourn the annual informational meeting at 6:28.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All right. Thank you, everybody.